Hello there. There are now open demands for a caliphate in Europe. This, ladies and gentlemen, is just the start of a terrible journey we must now take. Radical Islamism is on the rise in Germany, and they were out in force in Hamburg yesterday, calling for the establishment of an Islamic caliphate in Germany. And they held placards proclaiming that Germany is a dictatorship of values and that the caliphate is the solution. A caliphate being an Islamic ordered society under the stewardship of a leader, a caliph. And I'm not aware that any form of democracy decides who that caliph is, either. And if established, there would be no democratic route to removing that structure, with Islam being the second largest religion in Germany. That looks quite military to me, and it also has echoes from someone else in German history, who in his case ended up having a massively detrimental effect on Germany, Europe, and much of the rest of the planet. And with the demographic changes being made in Germany and across Europe, including the UK, these calls will only become more strident. This call in Germany is reportedly being led by a German citizen who converted to Islam called Rahim Boateng, who is linked to an organisation called Muslim Interactive, which is an established extremist group according to German authorities. With German media saying that Boateng spreads Islamist propaganda on social media, including TikTok. And he likes to use the one-fingered ISIS-style gesture. Now in Germany, an established extremist group isn't a banned group, just one that the authorities are allowed to keep a close eye on using surveillance, such as phone tapping and informants. But Muslim Interactive is, according to the German Office for the Protection of the Constitution, linked to Hizb ut-Tahrir, a group that is banned in Germany. Now I'm wondering how long it is until we see these types of marches taking place in the UK. Because at some stage in the next few months, Israel will probably have wiped out the last vestiges of Hamas, and the war in Gaza will abate. But I'm not sure those behind and funding the pro-Palestine marches will allow their programme to lose impetus. No, unless they are banned by the Home Office and police, I would expect those marches to become a permanent blight on our capital and other cities. But as the nation's demographics change, so will the messaging, probably ending up calling for a UK caliphate. These marches are now established, and they will become a permanent fixture, with the establishment no doubt viewing them as an important safety valve for blowing off fundamentalist steam before everyone goes back to business as normal. But I'm not sure I see them as a safety valve, especially where the token manner in which they are policed and managed is concerned, while their counter-protesters are boxed in. Something that only strengthens and emboldens the pro-Palestine marchers. And at this stage, how easy would it be for the Met to enforce any ban on their antics? And what would the Met do if they turned up en masse anyway? How long before the Met becomes the blasphemy police, if they aren't already? Further, we are now seeing the Islamic community pull back from their traditional support for the Labour Party, and the rise of those who will help their religious cause, such as the likes of George Galloway. The Islamists can see the huge power gains they have made in the UK in the last 6 months. They are not going to want to see that slide and evaporate away. They will want to press home any advantage they have. And those marches are an important part of their jigsaw, because they are increasing anti-Semitism to the point that the park authorities in London had to cover up the Holocaust memorial with a blue tarpaulin during the marches yesterday. And they're also proving to be a massively successful power play. But our politicians and authorities seem very content to let this situation develop. Be in no doubt, they will not help us. And another point to bear in mind is that those marches sprang up out of nowhere, fully funded and equipped with propaganda material immediately after the October the 7th Hamas atrocities, and well before Israel had even started to mobilise for their war against Hamas. It was obvious from the start that it was all pre-planned, so there must be a bigger picture here. I'm wondering if the unexpectedly direct attack by Iran on Israel was meant to goad Israel into widening the conflict in the hope that all support for the beleaguered state would disappear, leaving it defenceless. But that one seriously backfired on Iran. So what's next? A huge barrage of missiles from South Lebanon by Hezbollah, resulting in the IDF having to cross the border to invade the area? All grist to the pro-Palestine propaganda mill? I fear that we will be seeing an attempt quite soon on the Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthi side to somehow keep the international pressure on Israel. Otherwise, they risk losing momentum. They will do all they can to keep that momentum going in both international and national terms. But politics won't change anything. But a return to Christianity will. Richard.
Today, for my stream of consciousness rant, I will be focusing on the country within the UK, formerly known as England, which in another generation will probably be renamed something like Englandistan, and rightly so, because it will be named after a man named Stan. No other reason. Mustn't be phobic of our future, must we? Oh, no. Yes, this was the week that saw the Metropolitan Police confirm beyond any reasonable doubt that they do not serve the interests of the English, and in fact their actions spit upon all that is English and all that is England. They are no more our servants. They are the servants of Sadiq Khan and whatever ideology he happens to represent. Oh, I wonder what ideology that could be. Can't think of one. Anyway, you see, in the 21st century, to be English is to be a racist. And before I go any further, I need to get this off my chest because, according to a few people out there on social media, I am a racist. Yes, just like many of you have been branded racist, so bear with me whilst I give you a little bit about my racist background. Won't be long covering this. Even though my accent may betray me, I was born in England as an Englishman. The largest components of my genetic lineage are Iranian and English. I think it's mostly English. I can't remember if it's... Yeah. Anyway, and I was raised in Wales by a Welsh family who rescued me from an orphanage when I was a few weeks old. And today, and only for today, I identify as Scottish, of which, according to my DNA ancestry, I am 16%, as well as Norwegian, Irish, Armenian, and even 1% Mongolian. And that's to name but a few of the League of Nations that comprise my diverse DNA. So I can take my pick of whichever nationality I want to identify as on a daily basis. You know, because me and my DNA, my diverse DNA background, I could walk into the BBC tomorrow and demand to be made head of programming. Oh, and my beautiful young son, on his mother's side, is descended from slaves and is of Antiguan, African and Welsh descent. Yet, with his diverse racial background and my diverse racial background, that still places me as a racist. And there'll always be somebody out there who will call me a racist. Okay. But I thank my lucky stars that at least I am not English, as in fully English, because to be English born and bred today is to be frowned upon by society. And as I have said before, I mourn England, And my heart breaks for the English, especially the young English white males out there who are so despised and incessantly put down by the racist, far left-wing progressives. Oh, hang on. Are you English? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, because it now appears that England is not the place for you anymore, and you should under no circumstance place one of your racist far-right feet inside of England's capital, which has changed in demographic, and you have been replaced. Yes, your presence is no longer wanted in your capital, and most certainly no longer wanted in the workplace. Goodbye. Oh, my goodness, what's the matter with you? Are you upset and angry that your country now looks down upon you for being English, and especially if you're white and English and male? Sorry, what's that? Oh, you served your country, did you? Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, wait, you're white. Never mind. Whatever homeless provision the state once provided for such unfortunate individuals like yourself, and once acted as a societal safety net, this provision has now been reallocated to those that are replacing you. Please enjoy your concrete pillow with a lovely view of the open-air view of the stars, with a cardboard mattress soaked in the urine of your replacements and those that you fought for. Oh, why are you so upset with your predicament? How utterly racist of you! You must be one of those dastardly Tommy Robinson supporters with traditional far-right Christian racist values. Well, we can't be having that, can we? I mean, these flights to Rwanda, they wouldn't be for the good and decent, the far-right folk of England, would they? You see, England is reaching boiling point. And after watching the kettling of English men and women by the police on St. George's Day and Tommy's Freedom Day, it would appear as if our plod are doing all they can to orchestrate a flashpoint so they can finally bang Tommy Robinson up and set up new laws and restrictions against the English, and thus hammer the final nail into England's nail-ridden coffin. But a spark of anger has been struck by this oppression of the English, which will turn into a fire that will awaken, and is awakening, the young lions of England from their slumber. The irony is, people like Tommy Robinson and others like him are the stopgap that prevents people turning to the real far right that's just waiting in the wings. Yes, the people of England, with legitimate and justified anger towards the oppression of the English and towards the imposition of a newly imported hateful ideology, are disillusioned with the political system that has waged war upon them. But thankfully, the disillusioned are being met with the likes of Tommy Robinson. Yes, they are met with an informed perspective and educated debate, which people weren't expecting from Tommy Robinson, if you listen to our media. Indeed, the ruling classes and their mouthpiece media frown upon Tommy and his working class accent and direct way of speaking. They would have you think he is nothing more than a brainless thug, yet his intellect and reasoning is far beyond what most of them are capable of. Yes, the chinless wonders who speak with the king's English with plums in their mouths, and that's how these elites view the working class. Just thugs. Not good, is it? It is clear to see that in the past few decades, the English have suffered subjugation and quite open ethnic and cultural replacement in these lands. And I fear that if people like Tommy are removed from society, what will step in to replace him and his followers will be something that I don't have the stomach for. And I doubt you do either. Something that will be far right and far left at the same time, just as we saw in the 1930s and 1940s Germany, where the downtrodden German people ran to the arms of National Socialism and to the one man who promised to give them their national and individual pride back, but instead turned the nation into an industrial machine of death and destruction for innocent lives. And our forefathers didn't fight that evil in the world just so that we could become that same evil today. Yes, in Britain, it's okay to be Welsh, Scottish or Northern Irish, but to be English or Jewish is a crime. Oh, and of course, of Christian. In fact, it's a crime against humanity to a lot of these people. This racist attitude must come to an end before this inferno and its ensuing anger is stoked too high. England's son, Tommy Robinson, needs our support, and England needs to wave its flag harder than ever before. I have never thought I would say this, But the world needs England, especially when the madness of this satanic globalist agenda has infiltrated all parts of the earth. England, arise. Time is short, and your children's and grandchildren's future is in your hands. What you do and don't do will dictate their futures. And inaction is an action which ploughs the soil for future generations. So the first and most practical thing you can do, you know what I'm going to say, is get to church. Preferably a non-woke church. Listen to the gospel of Christ, form a personal relationship with him, and accept him as your saviour. Ignore any woke rubbish spoken in the church and articulate your objections to it if it is spoken there, should it arise. Then get married, have children, and raise them in a Christian household, and teach them the manners and respect that generations of English men and women learned from their parents, which became the bedrock of our society. Anyway, what do you Hillarys and Jonathans think about what has been said in today's video? Leave your mumblings and your bumblings in the comment section below for Jeff and I to read, and we will read them. So, and oh, mustn't forget, please support us over at our locals channel, link in the descriptions box below on how to support us there, or via PayPal, Patreon and Super Thanks. Links are also in the descriptions box below. We need your help. And God bless each and every one of you. And bye for now. And get to church.